Really excited for our last event of the 2025 year. And we've got some great companies that will be presenting today. For those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Aaron, and love to meet you afterwards and have a chat. And thank you so much for coming today. Just pulling up my notes here. So before we jump into today's event, I just want to acknowledge that it's with gratitude and respect that we're gathered here today on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and the pleasure it is to work and play on these lands. We are sponsored here by some great partners, and so we are in the Fasken office today. I think there's a few Fasken people in the audience here. See at the back there. Thank you again for having us and hosting us at your lovely office. Some great views, even when the weather's not too nice out. But yes, we've hand selected these partners to really bring a lot of value to the companies that we work with and that we showcase at Vantec as well. And so we really would not be able to do this without these great partners. We also work with NRC IRAP, and NRC is a partner with us on some of the educational pieces that we do with companies ahead of these events. So some of the workshops are the companies that kind of provide additional support throughout the preparation of Vantec and getting ready for this pitch event. So NRC has been a great partner of ours. And if you don't know, if you're looking for funding, government grants, should definitely be checking them out to see what they offer. And then Keiretsu is also a partner of ours, and we partner with them as far as deal flow goes. We have investors that are members of both Vantec and Keiretsu, and really I kind of see Keiretsu as kind of the next step, or one of the next steps after pitching at Vantec. Vantec's more that pre-seed seed. Keiretsu is more seed plus Series A, and so they have a network across North America and a great community of investors. So Keiretsu, appreciate the partnership as well. So to dive a little bit into who Vantec is, if you are here for the first time, we're really a community of angels, early stage funds, and community members here to support early stage innovation in BC. The Vantec membership gives you access to over 100 pre-vetted companies, and really an opportunity to connect with other investors and ecosystem partners and promote your own programs and events. If you ever have anything going on that you would like the rest of the network to know about that you think would be valuable, we are the first to promote that through our newsletter, to our social media following, and in our emails. So we can also give you a spot on the stage to make announcements as well. We also have been doing a summer social every year, and so early access to that, and we've been partnering with BDC to do that on their rooftop, so it's a great time every year as well. So DLM is the platform that we use. If you are a member, you have access to DLM. You can get all the information about the companies presenting today. You can go back, look at old events, the videos of them. You can get the contact information and reach out to the companies through DLM as well. So it's a really easy platform to get all the information that you're looking for about the companies that pitch at Vantec. And we also have a program here to incentivize you to bring other investors in your network to build this community even further. And so we have this referral program that if you bring a new member and they sign up, you'll get a $100 discount off your next year's dues. And so if you bring 6 people and they sign up, you get a free membership to Vantec next year. So if you are interested in becoming a member, you can use this QR code, and it's a super simple form to fill out. And as I mentioned, it's $600 for an annual in-person membership. So I'll have this up at the end as well if you'd like to get access to that. And I mentioned the newsletter. This really is a great way to stay in the loop of what we have in our community. There's always great events happening, and we like to promote those. And so if you sign up to our newsletter, we send this out once a month, usually the second or third week of the month, and it will really just be a promotion of everything that's happening in our community here that we think you might find interesting. And you can sign up for that through our website, I should have mentioned. All right, so we're getting to the exciting part of the event today, where We have 9 companies that are presenting. You may see a couple that are not on the list that we sent out via email. Unfortunately, there seems to be a bit of a sickness going around, and so a couple did have to cancel last minute, but we've got some really, really great ones that are presenting today. We got 6 90-second presentations, or I should change that. I should say 6 2.5-minute presentations and 3 5-minute presenters. So this is the order that we're going to go through. You either have a paper form for the feedback and showing your interest, so you can use that and we'll collect those afterwards, or you can show feedback on the company feedback form that we have up here as well. Really important to note that the feedback is really helpful to founders, regardless of if you are showing interest or not. So we will pass that along to all the founders, and we will only make a connection between you and the founders if you ask us to on that form. Okay, so without further ado, we've got our first presentation, and I'd like to invite Dave from Social Venture Partners to tell us a little bit about your business. And this is an interesting pitch. We did this last year around December as well. It's not going to be the minute of intro of yourself and a minute and a half of the business, but it's more telling us a bit about the great work that you're doing with this group. So I will give you the controls here and hand everything.
My name is David Ferguson. I'm with an organization called Social Venture Partners. I'm not pitching the purchase of shares today. We are a charity. I'm pitching the investment in local community. SVP was founded by a group of local tech investors. Names are up there. A lot of them are probably familiar to most of you. They had great success in the Vancouver market, and they wanted to give back and to reinvest in their community. I've been part of SVP for over 20 years for the same reason. SVP works on a venture philanthropy model, which means that we operate a little bit like a venture capital firm for other nonprofits. We pool our money, and then we donate that money in the form of grants together with time through coaching, support, leadership development to nonprofits to help them grow and prosper. I probably don't have to tell you too much about the need in our community and the need for investment in our children and youth. Maybe the call out that I would put from that slide is the idea that 1 in 7 children in the province of BC live below the poverty line. So I would encourage you to just think about that a little bit. In a province as prosperous as BC, 1 in 7 children are living below the poverty line. The need is significant. Why SVP? What's unique about our model? Well, there's really 3 things. First of all, we do a rigorous due diligence process on the organizations that we invest in, that we give grants to, which gives us comfort, gives you comfort that your money is being invested in the right place. There's a significant ROI. So in addition to the money, that time-based support results in a very significant return on social investment in the local community. And you can get engaged. So this is an opportunity to be engaged with your money if you want. We do have a number of partners who are financial donors only, but we do allow, or I'm a partner who's extremely involved with the local community from a volunteering perspective. So that's something that you can do. These are some examples of how we support beyond the money. I think the key point here is that this type of support for local nonprofits is extremely rare. Organizations do not get this kind of support. SVP's model is very valued and unique in the Vancouver. 50,000 kids in 2024. That's the number of children and youth and caregivers that SVP's investees, the organizations in total, that they touched, interacted, supported in 2024. So that's a really significant way to impact your local community through. Last slide. I just wanted to highlight this Heckman graph is a sort of famous graph in the nonprofit space. It simply says that the earlier that you intervene in a child's life or in a person's life, the social return on investment or the ROI is highest. So we at SVP set up the Early Years Fund to focus on the 0 to 6 age band, to focus on that greater than 10 times return on social investment. So thank you very much for your time today. My colleague Janelle is here. If you are interested, I'm David Ferguson. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for that, David. I really, really appreciate it. All right. Next up, we have an update from a past presenter. So I'd like to invite Adam from Drive to give us a bit of an update. It was about a year ago. 6 months. It was 6 months. All right. So what has happened in the last 6 months? I'll give you a minute to kind of intro yourself, your background, what brought you to start this business, and then we'll get into a minute and a half of that update, a little bit more about the business. So that's up to you.
Great. So, hey, everybody, I'm Adam. I'm the COO of Drive Hockey Analytics. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and get to speak at Vantec again. I've been involved in hockey my entire life. I played, I coached, I've worked in scouting, analytics, player development, from grassroots level programs all the way to the NHL. In fact, our broader team at Drive also shares in that mixed experience of youth and elite level sports. At every level, we all saw the same thing. The pros have access to the latest tools, technologies, and data, and everyone else has next to nothing. Youth and amateur athletes, which make up 99% of sports, still rely on gut instincts and opinions to drive their athletic development. The demand for objective data has always been there, but technology hasn't been built specifically for this segment of the market. Existing products are just too expensive, too complex, and so we asked ourselves, how could we deliver pro-level analytics in a manner that was fully automated, affordable, and accessible to every athlete? And that became the foundation for Drive.
Amazing. All right, let's put 90 seconds on the clock. I'll take it away.
So once we understood the need and the opportunity, we built the technology to unlock it. We developed a sensor-based system that automatically captures rich performance data and turns it into clear, actionable insights to help our athletes get to the next level. We place small sensors around the playing surface that interact with wearable devices, tracking every movement in real time. Our AI then processes thousands of data points each and every second to be displayed through our mobile app or through live in-arena displays. In simple terms, we can turn any ordinary sports facility into a connected, hyper-intelligent sports performance center, supporting athletes, coaches, and even fans. After launching our MVP, we've generated $1 million in sales, built partnerships with top leagues, and have expanded our user base to over 5,000. Most importantly, we've signed a strategic partnership with Canlan Sports, Canada's largest ice rink operator, generating a $5 million ARR opportunity. And since we've pitched at Vantec last, we've recently filed 3 new patents, secured a strategic manufacturing partner, we've signed up a new pilot with the Western Hockey League starting next month, and we've secured a lead investor for our seed. We're raising $1.5 million, with 1/3 of our round currently committed, to accelerate smart arena deployments, grow our subscription model, and expand into new sports, leveraging our core technology. We are building the data backbone of amateur sports. So if you're interested in learning more, we'd love to connect. Again, I'm Adam with Drive. Thank you very much.
All right, on to our next presenter here. I've got Aaron from AlgaFilm, another company that presented in this company, presented about a year ago. Got that one right. And so excited to get a bit of an update, but start off by introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to start AlgaFilm.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everyone, for being here. As Aaron said, I'm also Aaron. I'm the CEO of AlgaFilm Technologies. My background of 25 years in the wastewater industry as an engineer. I was previously the Chief Technology Officer at Ostara, which was a UBC spinout, which we grew from sort of university lab up to a little over $100 million in sales. The remainder of my founding team, anchored by Dr. Pierre Cote, are some of the leading experts in the wastewater sector as well. They've developed and commercialized some of the most successful water technologies in the world, really led by the Xenon ZeeWeed membrane system, which ultimately sold to GE Water for a little over $400 million. What we're developing is an algae-based technology that is focused on removing nutrients from wastewater, enabling smaller wastewater dischargers, municipalities, industries, developers to meet the regulatory burdens more cost-effectively and more sustainably.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's put on, dive into the business.
All right. So really how we do this, algae is a really interesting creature. They are able to process nutrients more energy efficiently than most other things. They're photosynthetic, they're plants, so they derive most of their energy from the sun. As a result, we're able to deliver wastewater treatment using 80% less energy at a lower capital cost, and that's inherently carbon negative. We're addressing a market in North America, so Canada, US, Mexico, That's about $7 billion worth of capex over the next 4 years, driven by the lagoon-based system market. So lagoons represent around 2,500 systems around North America that are very poor at removing nutrients and very difficult to upgrade. This is really what the value proposition is. In Europe, there's an even larger market behind that that's driven by the new Urban Wastewater Framework Directive that was just implemented, creating about a $22 billion upgrade opportunity or window over the coming decade in Europe. In terms of what we've accomplished since we last came in here, so we were presenting a little over a year ago. Since then, we've completed our TRL-7 demonstration with Metro Vancouver at their pilot facility Island. We're just finishing construction of our first commercial demo in Kingsville in Ontario. It'll be starting up in January. And we've started to fill our sales funnel now with about 18 deals in the sales funnel, the first of which we're expecting to drop in the first quarter of 2020. And in terms of what we're looking to do, we've completed our first close on our seed round on the first 1.1 million, led by Burnt Island Ventures. So they're the leading water sector investor in seed companies globally. We're keeping the terms the same, looking to close the last $400,000 in the seed round, really to fund our growth and our growth of our manufacturing and the scale up of our team. If you're interested, please come find me afterwards, or I'll track some of you down if I can. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for that, Aaron. Great updates. All right. We're moving right along, and we've got our next presenter up here. So Roger from AiDANT, to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what brought you to start the company, and then we'll dive into where you're at today and what you're asking for. So I'll pass that to you.
So yeah, my name is Roger Milford. I'm the CEO of AiDANT. I also serve on the advisory board for the Deming Cup at Columbia University. A little bit about our team. We are a group that all worked with McKesson, which then became Change Healthcare. We spent a lot of time in the radiology, computer vision area, and have taken the technology that we moved from the radiology side through to being able to detect things on cameras. Okay, all right. So yeah, in starting this company, our team brought experience from highly optimized AI models into the camera vision sector. I'm going to change that one. So some of the analytics that we do, we're able to do real-time intelligence of what people are doing, how they're moving. We don't have any databases. Everything remains on the camera. There's no databases to hack. There's no servers involved. Everything is based on the cameras. We partnered very closely with Axis, the big camera company. They do all the airports, the government buildings, things like that. And we were able to use both their leverage as well as distribution agreements with many of the world's largest security integrators to be able to distribute our product. We have a number of different products that are on the market today. Our core ones are Aware, Care, and Markers. We use all sorts of clever AI tricks to be able to optimize the product. And what we've seen as far as revenue growth is we've seen quite a substantial revenue growth year over year. Yesterday, we closed a deal for $225,000 with TD Bank, which has now, in the first 5 months of this financial year, allowed us to surpass our entire revenue for the whole of last financial year. Some of the big deals, as an example of some of the big deals in our pipeline, we've got CIBC, TD Bank, Suntel. These represent both existing deals as well as future deals that are worth millions of dollars that we have in the pipeline and are closing soon. The ask that we're looking for, we're at the tail end of a $1 million raise. We've already raised $640,000, so there's another $360,000. With our current revenues that are coming in, we probably don't need to close the rest of the round to do what we need to do. But as a commitment from the board, having said that we would keep that full $1 million open, we're willing to do that. And so if you'd like to come and talk to us, we'd like to tell you more about that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that, Roger, and apologies for the slight technical difficulties here, but we are on track again, but appreciate the intro there. All right, next I'd like to introduce Fabiano to tell us a little bit about Flui.so. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to start this business, your background, and then we'll get into the business and where you're at today. So I'll pass that over to you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Take it away.
Hello, Vantec. Thanks for having me here. Last holidays, I was talking to my cousin. She's an English teacher, and she told me with a heavy heart that her students are not doing homework anymore. And I took it to myself to do some research. I talked to other teachers and I dig up some stats. I learned that since the 90s, the ratio of no completion of homework has nearly doubled. That's a big problem for students and learning in general. My name is Fabiano. I've been in Vancouver since 2012, and I work with some of Vancouver's best startups, such as Recess, Axioms, and Dapper Labs, Asana. And lastly, during the pandemic, I had the chance to create my own company called Collection with Daisuke Iwase, who is now in our advisory board for this new venture. I'm very proud of this A+ team that I got to recruit for the future of education to make learning 10 times better.
Put a minute and a half on the clock.
Flui is the AI copilot for teachers and schools. Our product has two core values. One, we save time to teachers and schools. And two, we increase engagement and retention for the students. Our teachers say wonderful things about Flui because we can cut down the time needed to create homework from 30 minutes to under a single minute. Our initial focus are private private institutions in emerging markets, a recession-resistant combination. And while the technology education market is very busy in North America, there's nothing like our product in Latin America. In the first 4 months we're in the market, we got over 600 students onboarded by the teachers, and both sides very much recommend our best conversion channel is teacher influencers. And we got over 60% conversion from trials. We are now raising 250,000 for our first round. We have, that should allow us to deploy into new countries, speed up sales, and we already have 110,000 committed. The goal is to bring us into profitability. If you like our mission, come and talk to me after. Thank you very much.
All right, so that brings us to our last short pitch for the evening. So I'd like to introduce Cedric to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what brought you to start Resolve Nanotherapeutics. I'll hand over to you.
All right, thanks. So I'm Cedric, Vice President, Business Development and co-founder of Resolve Nanotherapeutics. This is our founding team. So I spent about the first 10 years of my career studying infectious disease, particularly antibiotic resistance and severe infections. I've never seen a truly new solution to that problem for therapeutics for patients. Through working with Peter Cullis, I met a guy named Jim Russell, who is the top, basically the world's best ICU and top-ranked ICU clinician researcher in the world. He's treated over 50,000 of these patients just up the street at St. Paul's Hospital up there. And he brought a research program to the lab that really caught my attention. So when I learned about what he was doing, I had to work on that just based on everything I knew. What this means, what the project would mean if it is successful, is there would be a completely new therapeutic option for critically ill patients who currently have no option. And so at this stage of my career, my goal is to make a lasting impact in the field of infectious disease and create new therapies for patients. And so through a shared vision between Jim and I, we founded Resolve Nanotherapeutics to make that a reality.
Fantastic. All right, let's get into the business.
Thanks.
There we go.
Right, so with that slight pause, I'm going to try to go through this in 90 seconds. It's a bit complicated. So thanks, guys. So we work on acute infections. These are severe infections. They include things like pneumonia, peritonitis, which are abdominal infections, and infections arising from chemotherapy treatment. They have a mortality rate of up to 40%, which is very high, even with frontline treatment being antibiotics. And clearly antibiotics don't work well enough with that high mortality rate, and making matters worse, they're losing efficacy quickly over time with the spread of antimicrobial resistance, which is a hot topic in the news. Our technology comes at this totally differently. We start with the observation that some people survive these acute infections much better because of their genetics. And when you get one of these infections, it's a toxin that bacteria produce called endotoxin that causes the severe inflammation that damages your organs and causes you to die. Our technology goes around the fact that some people have this, we all have the genes basically in us to clear these endotoxins, and some people have the system turned on all the time and they clear these toxins way faster than everybody else. And our technology mimics this by using lipid nanoparticle RNA technology, same as in the COVID-19 vaccines, that turn these genes on all the time. We have a very strong proof of concept where we can show in a multi-drug resistant Staph aureus pneumonia, one of the most common hospital infections you can't kill with an antibiotic, our drugs reduce mortality by up to 40%. So we have drugs that really work. We're in the pre-seed phase looking for $500,000 or more for 24 months of runway to get to the IND enabling stage, sort of the preclinical part. We have a lot of supplemental funding with grant funding of up to $2 million to do the R&D research. And our milestones are selecting our lead indication, doing face-to-face discovery with pharma, and mapping our regulatory roadmap to actually get into the clinic. With that, I'll leave you with our mission statement here, but our goal really is to create new therapeutics for acute infections where there are no options right now.
Fantastic, Cedric. Thank you for that introduction. All right, so that brings us to the end of the 2.5-minute pitches. And so do stick around afterwards to have a chat with these founders and ask them their questions, or your questions, I should say, over a glass of wine and some food afterwards. So now we're getting into the 5-minute presenters, and I'd like to invite Dr. Shazan, I'm sorry. To come up and tell us a little bit about Haibu Health. So I'll invite you up and...
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Shazan Ahmed. I'm a pediatric endocrinologist, a doctor that specializes in caring for children with hormonal disorders like diabetes. I'm also a researcher at BC Children's Hospital. And for over 15 years, I've witnessed the daily reality of living with type 1 diabetes. I've seen smart, capable kids burdened by a disease that never takes a break. Like Ethan, diagnosed at 7 years old, he's now 16. He uses the latest technology like an insulin pump and a glucose sensor. Yet last year, he was hospitalized twice. Ethan did everything right, but diabetes still disrupts his health, his confidence, and his future. And Ethan isn't the exception, he's the rule. Globally, over 9 million people live with type 1 diabetes, and nearly half of them experience preventable complications like hospitalizations, kidney disease, and even depression. This costs the healthcare system over $70 billion, but more importantly, years of life lost in joy, potential. So here's the problem. Patients like Ethan generate massive amounts of data through their wearables, in the healthcare system. But this data is fragmented, locked away in different clinics, devices, and systems. But this data could save lives, if only it could be connected and used intelligently. That's why I founded Haibu Health. Haibu Health unites diabetes data from wearables and health systems and uses AI to generate predictive, actionable insights so clinicians and patients can prevent crises before they happen. Imagine an all-in-one digital place where Ethan, his parents, his clinicians can view his data, communicate, and receive alerts like, your glucose trends are changing, let's adjust now. Or clinicians can view a dashboard that identifies which patients are at risk so they can deliver the right care at the right time to the right patient. We have a first mover advantage because our platform is ready, co-created with patients and clinicians, ensuring immediate adoption and impact. We have already built the integration with wearables and health system data, with PHSA as our first healthcare organization partner. Our team brings unmatched expertise in integrating digital tools directly into clinical workflow. Our product and process are backed by data and evidence, our unique moat. Since 2020, over $9 million in non-dilutive funding has been invested, and we have published results from a foundational proof of concept study. Over the next 12 months, our clinical trial at BC Children's will generate real-world data validating our business case. And we will have a one-of-a-kind data lake with data from over 1,000 users to train and validate predictive AI. Our B2B SaaS model partners with hospitals and health organizations to improve outcomes, reduce costs, and transform experience in a total addressable global market of $3.3 billion. Starting with our beachhead market in BC, we expect recurring revenue in 12 months and a break even by mid-2027. Each year of scaling strengthens our implementation expertise and drives predictable revenue growth, putting us on track for a 10x return in ARR by 2036. Our team is built to deliver. I bring over 20 years of clinical experience in pediatric diabetes, 6 years as head of endocrinology at BC Children's, and a global research track record with over $15 million secured for diabetes. Simona McKee, Director of Product, has led Haibu's platform development end-to-end with a strong record of delivering high-impact digital products. Daniel Verones, our lead engineer from Laser Technology, brings over 25 years of healthcare tech leadership, building scalable, user-centered solutions. Our ask is $1.5 million to unlock the revenue of a de-risked product with 12 months of revenue. We'll expand in BC and across Canada and the US, turning pilots into sales. We will build and implement predictive AI and continue to improve our product so it solves the real problems experienced by people living with type 1 diabetes. Our vision is to move healthcare from reactive to proactive, finally fulfilling the promise of data, keeping people healthy and happy. Because patients like Ethan don't deserve to just survive, they deserve to thrive. Thank you so much, and I would love to chat with you more later.
All right, we'll open it up for any questions, and I'm going to kick us off here, and then we'll see if there are any in the audience here. So just jump in here. Can you tell us how you're going to make sure that your customers are going to prioritize this?
That's an excellent question. Thank you. So in the context of our work, we have users. Our users are patients and clinicians. And I will say that they will prioritize this tool in their day-to-day work, whether they're seeing patients in clinic or they live with the disease, because we have built this product with them to address points. And so the product market fit is very tight for us because we've done this work with that group. Our paying customers, because of this, we have a B2B SaaS model or health organizations. So we're talking about health authorities, hospitalizations, or hospitals, HMOs. In the context of what is compelling for those organizations to invest in a product like this? What we know is that they want to see, better patient outcomes, better population health, cost savings in the system. And so we are focusing on the research that's required to demonstrate that our product will save the health system significant dollars, not just so that they can funnel that money towards paying for this product, but also generate a 50% return on investment because of the prevention of unnecessary preventable hospitalizations, serious diabetes-related complications like kidney disease, blindness, amputations. And so with that evidence in place, I know that our payers will be compelled to implement and adopt this product.
Appreciate that. I see some questions here. We've got, we'll do Shantanu, and then we'll go online and then to Roy.
Great pitch. Hi, great pitch. I was just wondering, I know you had a slide that kind of briefly touched on this, but could you talk a little more to the actual journey of the data, like who's using it, starting kind of what they do with it and what an actual outcome could look like, or maybe an example of a use case of the data?
For the patient journey, is that what you're looking for? Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you what things look like today. And then I can tell you what they would look like in the future with a product like this. So patients are diagnosed with diabetes at BC Children's Hospital. It's a very traumatic diagnosis, right? And they're stabilized medically, and then they're given a binder of paper. And that is all of the things they need to learn to go home and survive with diabetes. And it's significant learning. And then, and so in that moment, they're given paper, a binder, and a lot of education, overwhelm, feeling, obviously grief of this diagnosis and change in their life. And then they go home and they communicate with us and the clinical team every other day to support them in living with diabetes at home, adjusting their insulin. And that communication happens over email and phone. It is inefficient. It is not timely. It is stressful for families. Visit, and we can't find all the data we need because it's locked away in all these different places as a clinician. I don't know the patient's context because there's nowhere in the system that holds all of the experience they've had over the last 6 weeks. So their clinic visit is disorganized and not useful. And then they go through years of living with diabetes as children change, grow, become more independent, and there's no way for me to predict things going wrong. I'm leveraging data. So with this new technology, this journey would look like a one-stop shop for patients to see all of their information, navigate to educational resources, an ability for me as a clinician to see information all in one place, collaborate and communicate with my patient, but receive those alerts from the AI-generated insights that tell me which patient do I need to focus on? Who do I need to reach out to? Which patient needs more education? Give them that before they land in the hospital. And then that time of transitioning to adult care is a time where we lose a lot of young adults in the system. And so taking their information with them to their adult provider, that supporting that transition would be the new way of working with a digital platform.
Online attendee Jesse says, love this. What system is keeping the data safe and distributed?
So safety is a really critical part of this, security. So our system currently, this was built in partnership with the Provincial Health Services Authority. And so this has been a priority strategic project. We've done all of this work with grant funding, so non-dilutive funding, as I mentioned, over $9 million. We've built the product inside the PHSA's server instance. So we are in their firewall with all of the protections that exist with a health system. And that's currently how we're built. There is the requirement for, very important regulation and security measures that we're leveraging PHSA's system today. As we scale, we'll understand whether other systems would want that similar integration with and existence of their health system data connected with our platform inside their health system, or whether we would build it externally. And that's the learning we're going to do over the next little while. In terms of distributed, I'm not sure I fully understand that part of the question. I will say that patients, for their wearable data, get to decide whether they connect with our system or not. And so it's very important that patients have the agency to connect their glucose data that they're generating or the data they're generating through their other wearables with our system. They can connect and disconnect as they wish, giving them that agency and autonomy.
Okay, great. Mark, let us know if any clarifications needed or any further questions come online. But Rio, can we have a question over here? We'll start with you, Roy, and then we'll go to Mark.
Hi, I am a physician and life science angel investor, and it's just fantastic to hear your presentation. Well done. And it's just great to see some physician entrepreneurs come to Vantec. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So, having been in the space for a while, 2 questions. Firstly, what kind of support, if any, let's hope a lot, you've had from PHSA and Children's? And secondly, what's the ownership situation with your company? And what ownership does Children's or PHSA have?
Yep.
And, you spoke about the fact that your data is embedded at PHSA.
Yep.
What's the vision for getting it out of PHSA and scaling?
Great question. So in terms of support from PHSA and BC Children's, I would say the support has been fantastic. Actually, it was PHSA stakeholders who said, you need to start a company if you're going to do this. And so that was the encouragement that, we want to build this with you. We want to make sure it's built for the system and it is something that the system will use, but we don't maintain and scale technology. That's, that. And so starting a company was actually encouraged by my organization to stop riding those grant cycles where you start something, build something great, and then have to shut it down. So great support from the system. In terms of scaling, ownership, I'll start with. So because this was done all with UBC administered grant funding, UBC actually owns the IP that we've built to date. Haibu Health is almost completed the negotiations with UBC for an exclusive license to the IP that has been generated to date. And so that will be the company's quote unquote ownership of the IP through that exclusive license. In return, UBC will get 5% equity of the company with no royalties. And so we're just very close to signing that particular agreement, which, in the end has actually been quite reasonable compared to how things have happened in the past. And then in terms of sort of the data itself, I always say patients own their data. So, you own your data, it's your data, but the health system is the steward of health system data, the data that we collect inside the system. And so in terms of, ownership of data, I think it's more about how do we steward responsibly with very ethical governance data that's generated by patients. And so our goal is to work with the health system to build that governance structure so that data is used responsibly to improve care. And as long as that happens, I know the health system will provide that access to companies like Haibu, where we're using the data in the improvement of the care experience. I think ownership becomes sort of a difficult question to ask because, again, patients own their data.
We'll do the last question with Mark at the back here.
That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
So yeah, now I think you clarified a little more about, where it started, why you're working with, the hospitals and the health authorities initially, but what are your plans to scale out in terms of the community providers? Like, are there plans to potentially, have more customers in the family physicians, the pharmacies, the other allied health care that touch the patient?
So just had a conversation today. So Interior Health has 6 pediatric clinics across their region, are very interested in our technology. And so we're demoing it to the clinicians next week. And the hope is that we start to scale to the pediatric clinics that exist in communities. So we're talking Vernon, Kelowna, Cranbrook, et cetera. So still staying in the diabetes clinics. Our platform actually, the front-end user interface allows patients to then connect other people in their circle of care into their dashboard. So if they have a family practitioner who is supporting them in managing their diabetes, or they have another chronic disease that is managed by another specialty service or GP or pediatrician, they can actually invite other people. So their pharmacist, their, the nurse that supports them in school. And so that's how we can bring others in the circle of care onto the dashboard.
Fantastic. Was there clarification needed online or?
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we are. Next up, we have Jacob to introduce us to TransCan Genomics. So, Jacob, I will let you take over the controls and take it away.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Jacob Coleman. I'm the founder and CEO of TransCan Genomics, and I'm very excited to tell you all today about what we've been working on. Canada doesn't have enough genetic testing capacity, and because of this, most publicly funded genetic testing is outsourced to US-based labs, which means we pay more for testing and we lose valuable genetic data. While Canada's public labs can process a lot of DNA, they lack the resources and infrastructure to actually use this data, and so they can't scale effectively. And because of this, health authorities are failing to meet government mandates to keep genetic testing and genetic data in Canada. If we look at hereditary cancer as an example, we see that Canada is currently outsourcing roughly 60,000 tests a year. So TransCan Genomics solves this problem through a public-private collaboration model. We work directly with public labs to provide domestic genetic testing options, centralized data systems, and clinical integration and automation tools. So in short, we are an end-to-end testing and data management solution for clinicians. So in general, genetic testing is ordered by a care provider. Patient's DNA is sent to a lab for processing, and a report is sent back to the provider. With outsourced testing, every step takes place outside of Canada, and the lab itself owns that genetic data and even patient's DNA. With TransCan Genomics, we coordinate every step of this process in Canada. DNA is processed through local partner labs, data is analyzed in-house by our clinical scientists, and all genetic data is hosted on our domestic open clinician platform. So our approach benefits all stakeholders. Public health leadership gain a turnkey solution for testing mandates, no investment required. Lab partners can access new revenue streams, and clinicians and researchers gain access to a national genomic database, driving domestic innovation. Our main competitive advantage is that private labs cannot perform clinical sequencing in Canada, and we are the first and only private entity to secure a collaboration agreement with a Canadian clinical sequencing lab, meaning we are the only company that can perform this testing entirely within Canada. So obviously, we have a first mover advantage where we're able to commercialize existing infrastructure to compete in a global testing market. And our innovative database and charting platform, Polyscript, sets us apart from our competitors as we are the only genetics lab providing customers with true data ownership. So this is an ambitious project, but my team and I have the expertise and industry connections to make this a reality. So myself and our co-founder led the development of BC Cancer's provincial rapid testing pathway, and our lead developer has helped to build some of Canada's most advanced clinical genomic data systems. So the global genetic testing market is valued at around 10 billion with an annual growth rate of around 15%. Canada's public health system spends around 300 million annually on testing, and about half of that is towards outsourced testing. So this outsourced testing, that's the market we're after. Our initial focus is on hereditary cancer testing, and we anticipate an early sales pipeline of about 9.4 million based on conversions of early clinical supporters within the Founders Network. So over the last several months, we have secured a major lab partner, and we have developed the core of our proprietary data platform, and we are now ready to launch our clinical services through our soft launch, for which we are raising 400,000 in seed funding. So this funding will give us a 6-month runway to execute our soft launch, where we will be focused on increasing test volumes month over month with an early target of 100 tests per month by month 3, scaling up to 300 tests per month by month 6. By month 12, we anticipate having launched our subscription data platform and expanding our test menu, positioning us to scale our operations domestically and our services internationally. So our primary customers are medical genetics clinics, and small clinics outsource more of their testing. So by focusing on small clinics first, we can organically scale up to meet the needs of larger and larger clinics, providing a sustainable growth trajectory. So our 3-year target trajectory is reachable with only 7 to 8 clinic accounts, which is a small portion of the Canadian market and a fraction of the global market. Our break-even point is only 50 tests per month. And from there, our annualized revenue increases to 6.3 million at 300 tests per month, 12.5 million at 600 tests per month, up to 37.7 million at 1,800 tests per month, following industry standard pricing. And our gross margins increase from 35% at 100 tests per month up to well over 70%. We believe we'll be an attractive acquisition target once we've scaled, given we will have established an embedded position with long-term security. Based on our 3-year trajectory, we believe that an exit timeline of 3 to 5 years is feasible, likely by acquisition from a competing lab or by a public government stakeholder. So as mentioned, we are seeking 400,000 in seed funding, of which 60,000 has been committed to date. We are seeking lead investor involvement in setting valuation and investment vehicle. We are EBC eligible, and we are also eligible for one-to-one matched non-dilutive funding through Genome BC, for which conditional investments are accepted. So thank you all for your time and attention, and be happy to answer any questions.
Great job. All right. So looking around the room, and I'll kick it off. I like kicking it off. So you talked a little bit about the first mover advantage that you have with this this clinic. What is your IP strategy moving forward outside of this? How are you building a holistic approach, and how do you build value with this business?
Absolutely. One of our big advantages is that our business model is not predicated on the monetization of proprietary data. So our main competitors are businesses based on siloing data. Our model is not very easy for them to replicate because ours is based on data stewardship. So that's one piece. And then another core piece of our IP strategy is in our unique clinical workflow tools. So in our charting automation software. So charting accounts for around 40 to 60% of clinicians' workload within medical genetics, and our report automation platform reduces that dramatically. And so our intent is to bundle this functionality into our data platform as an incentive for clinics to adopt our service, providing a very clear and objective economic benefit from day one by increasing clinic efficiency.
Question.
I'm sorry, I just didn't understand. What is your product exactly? Are you a software that's going on top of the labs?
Yeah.
Would you be taking to doing the test yourself in cooperation with lab, or the lab will be doing the test in your?
Yes. So Canada's public labs perform the sequencing. We have an anchor lab partner here in Vancouver, the Michael Smith Genome Science Center. They're one of the largest genetic sequencing labs in Canada. So the way it works is that we provide all of the front-end ordering logistics for clinicians that order testing. Samples are processed through our partner labs, so within the public system, and then all downstream data analysis, reporting, and data management is facilitated by us. So we are providing clinical analysis and reporting services, as well as an overall networked data management system. So our lab partners, we pay a service fee for the services they're performing, the actual sequencing and processing of the raw DNA itself. But the price that we're charging clinicians or clinics who are our customers are the exact same prices they're paying for testing already. With current testing that's being outsourced, they're paying, say, $1,300 per test. The entirety of that $1,300 goes to whatever lab they're paying this to in the US. With our model, because we're working directly with labs that are typically within their own health authority, they're actually recouping a significant portion of that testing cost because it's being fed back in as revenue through their own lab.
I'd like to ask a follow-on question for that, because I think on one of the slides you had a pipeline that you've been building up of about 9.4 million. So tell us a little bit more about those early customer conversations that you're having with them. What are they telling you? What are they needing? And yeah, how are you able to build such a sort of big sales pipeline so quickly?
Absolutely. So we're very lucky to have benefited from very strong support among multiple senior leaders within Canada's medical genetics system, both in the public and private space, as well as research and academic. And the main issue that we hear all the time, and it's really what led to our founding, was that there is no domestic alternative once local labs have reached their analysis capacity. So the bottleneck is not in an ability to process DNA, it's to analyze the data downstream. So our sales pipeline here, this 9.4 million figure, is based on an estimated conversion rate of these strong early supporters that we have within the public system and private, with an intent to convert to early pilot commitments, where we'll then ramp up testing volume over time.
Fantastic, thank you. We got another question here. Did you have a question? No.
Sorry, so what's your scaling up? How are you going to be like, are you moving from BC to other places? Are you licensing that, or are you going to open another locations, or how are you going to be scaling?
Yeah, so at the moment we have our Anchor sequencing lab, which is, again, it's one of the largest in Canada, so we have a lot of wiggle room with their capacity, but the intent is to onboard additional labs over time. That is not required for us to operate across Canada. So initially our focus is on BC just because that's where our early supporters are based. But we can operate from day one with any clinic across Canada. We can operate from day one internationally. But our focus is on trying to leverage these early clinic champions that we established through these pilot programs, and try to build off those connections to spread within a given health authority. But we're able to work with any clinics across Canada.
Fantastic.
Can you give an example of the type of test that you would do and what it does for whoever's getting tested? And also, you need a Made in Canada sticker up there.
Thanks. Yeah. So our initial focus is on what's called hereditary cancer testing. Now, this is a type of genetic test that a person might have ordered for them by their doctor if there is a suspicion that they might have a genetic predisposition to develop cancer throughout their lifetime. So a genetic change that's passed down through a family. So that's the initial focus. This is a rapidly expanding domain within the medical system. It's increasingly being adopted as standard of care. So our initial focus, as I said, is hereditary cancer, simply because that makes up the largest portion of the testing market. But certainly we do want to expand to other indications such as prenatal genetic testing, cardiovascular genetic testing. There are many different subspecialties of genetic testing within Canada.
All right. Last up, we have Dave to introduce us to SB Innovation. So I'll invite you to the stand here and hand over the controls and let you take things away. So all yours.
How many of you know someone who's overweight? It could lose like 20, 30 pounds. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your spouse. Oh my gosh, you're also healthy. How many of you read the nutritional facts label on a food product before you buy? Awesome. Okay, good. You're very healthy. As a nerdy food scientist, I do read a lot of labels, and And frankly, I'm shocked and dismayed at the high number of products that are still on the grocery shelf that are frankly slowly killing us. Now, I know I should be eating better, but there are times when I just want to, when that apple and that celery stick just won't cut it. I want to eat that delicious, decadent, fat-filled chocolate chip cookie to fill my hunger hole. Now, you're probably thinking, that's not exactly the best and most sustainable healthy diet you could eat. And you're absolutely right. But you know, over 16% of the world's adults are currently obese. And by 2050, that number could rise to over half being obese and overweight. And that weight issue is going to cause chronic health illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, and also put a strain on our health system that could literally steal years off of our lives. One of the main culprits of this current diet, of this situation is saturated fats in dairy and palm oil. Palm oil is everywhere, it's cheap, but this low cost convenience comes with a price. Because we all know, we all understand that, well, palm oil production is devastating to wildlife, rainforests, and of course has very big negative environmental impacts. At SBI, we developed something that we think is pretty amazing, and we call it zero fat. What started off as a dietary fiber supplement turned into a fat replacer ingredient. Because when you add water to that powder over there, you get this very smooth, creamy, fat-like texture that actually has no aftertaste. We put the theory to the test, and we took Nutella and put it against our very own hazelnut spread with zero fat to replace the palm oil that's usually in Nutella. The result, over 70% of our subjects preferred zero fat because of its enhanced texture, appearance, but with no difference in flavor. So how do we do this? Well, we take chia seeds, and I hope most of you know what a chia seed is. We combine it with other natural plant-based ingredients, and using our patented microencapsulation technology, we convert this into a shelf-stable powder that actually contains no fat. Now, it took us over a year to commercialize this process, and the IP that we've developed is our moat around this technology. Our clients are currently using zero fat in a wide range of products. You can see here cookies, smoothies, cream cheese icings, cakes, tarts, and salad dressings. And that brown stuff in the middle down there, well, that's actually chocolate ganache, and it's frankly delicious. Our clients are really excited about using zero fat because it is less expensive than most of the fats that they use in their recipe. It's also really easy to replace either a liquid or a solid fat without changing the texture or the flavor. Not to mention, of course, reduces calories and saturated fats is a really big bonus for our product. Now, the global fat replacer market is currently at $3 billion, and in 10 years, it should be around $8 billion. Based on our client feedback, we feel that zero fat is very well positioned to be a significant player in this market. We are global innovators and leaders in fat mimetic technologies. We have over 150 years of experience in food science, operations, and sales. So we know how to scale. And I want to raise one point about we're really happy to celebrate our first client in our company, and that's Millsy, Vancouver locally based company. They produced a cashew spread, and it's really good. And go to any store in North America, or sorry, in Canada, North America, they have distribution. You will find the product on the grocery shelf. And with more clients to come, we have a journey that we would like you to with. We're here to fundraise $500,000 to unlock the $425,000 of non-dilutive we've accomplished so far. We should be profitable by Q4 of next year with 12 months of runway. And we aim to 1.6 million with 20 clients by the end of 2026. We are EBC and RSP eligible, and we have a post-money valuation of $5 million. So we believe that we can make healthier choices for you in the foods that you buy and eat at the stores, because zero fat is the new fat. Thank you.
Great job, Dave. Thank you so much. Stick around. We'll have some questions. So I see one right at the front here with Shantanu to start us off.
Thanks, Aaron. Hi, I have two questions for you. So I guess the first one is with regards to commercialization. It sounds to me that you've gone through your FDA approval and everything. So is it correct for me to assume there's no approval needed further? Like, are you good to go in a grocery store or like sell to whoever is selling to?
Okay, thanks. Our product's composed of 3 products that are called GRAS, generally recognized as safe, both in Canada, the US, and the EU, the jurisdictions that we've applied for our patent. We feel the solvent that we use is inert. So while the finished product, that powder that you saw up there, has not been officially approved by Health Canada or the FDA, we have applied for a novel product determination with the Health Canada, and we're waiting for the decision. But as science will demonstrate, because those 3 ingredients that we use are GRAS, we don't think it's going to be a problem.
Awesome. Thanks. Aaron, am I good
Another
to go for
question?
another question?
Sure. Well, I was in the business once before and I'm out now. So
Okay. The second question I had is,
Yeah.
I noticed one of the slides said it's cheaper / less expensive.
Less expensive.
How does it change the cost profile of, I don't know, Nutella or whatever, cream cheese or something to the manufacturer?
yeah, I'll give you an example. So in recipes where we produced a cookie, and by the way, please join us over there because we do have some zero fat cookies for you to enjoy later. There's about a 5% reduction in the cost of that cookie by using zero fat. And that's with replacing 50% of the butter, not 100%, but 50% of the butter that was in that cookie. So you're actually not losing the flavor or some of the creaminess, but we are actually taking that butter content, the saturated fat in that cookie, and dropping it below like more than half. So it is going to comply to the government's new federal regulations coming this January of under 15% per serving.
We've got a question over here, but I'm going to, while you go over there, Rio, I'm going to ask another question because I can see the cookies over there. They look great. I can't wait to try them out. I do have to know though, have you had to change any of the other ingredients or any of the macros in these cookies or other foods to maintain and achieve that same taste?
The cookie that you're going to taste over there has no adjustment to sugar because that's a big thing. People think, oh, you got to increase the sugar to offset any fat or whatever you're replacing. Not in our recipe. In some recipes, for example, like a carrot cake, if I can use that, we might have to add some starch, some modified starch, but it's very, very minimal. And the amount that you add of our zero fat in a recipe to replace a fat is a basis of 1% of the total fat. So if I had a liter of oil in a recipe, I'm going to put in 10 grams of zero fat and add 990 grams of water to make up that equivalent 1 liter of oil.
There was a question at the back there. We'll go with Belzel first. Or yeah, we can go. You're here. Let's start here.
Have you approached any of the major food manufacturers? And if so, what was their response?
We have started locally with smaller companies because they're more dynamic, they're faster to make decisions. But we've spoken with companies like Costco, our Vaughan, Ontario facility, and we had a really great meeting with them in late October. They're very excited and wanting to do some development work with our product, as well as other companies that, of course, make large-scale garlic bread, for example. We make a garlic spread that completely replaces all. They're very interested in trying it for their products to try and reduce the saturated fats on the label to comply with Canadian regulations. So we do have had some large customers, not the P&Gs or the Crafts or the, Mondelez yet, but large Canadian companies, significant, like over $100 million.
Hi, Dave. Congratulations on getting your first paying customer.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
All right. So you've got other potential clients in the pipeline. What is the time horizon to convert them into paying clients, and what are they facing? What are the KPIs they need to achieve? What issues? I think you mentioned regulatory issues that they have to overcome. Could you give a little more color, please?
Sure. Depends on what type of product you're trying to produce. For example, we're working with a Vancouver-based smoothie company, and within 4 months, we were able to resolve their technical issues to stabilize their product. The decision now becomes, how long will it take for them to integrate that ingredient into their recipes? They have commands they use. We're estimating it could take 3 months to a year. If it's a brand new product that we're developing for them, it could be very fast. But if they have an existing inventory item, for example, they have labels, printed film, when we add a new ingredient, you have to change that information on the label. Nutritional facts changes, ingredient declaration changes. If they have 3-4 months of inventory of that packaging, they're going to use it up before they switch over. So it depends really on how that client's positioned, whether it's an existing product they're trying to change or a new product they're trying to develop. We basically say 3 months to 12 months.
In a big picture, how do you manufacture your product? And also, roughly what percentage less calories are in the product? What's the range?
Okay. The manufacturing process is our IP, so I can't go into too much detail, but we are powdering a liquid. So we're taking a liquid mash and we're producing a powder primarily through spray drying technology. What's critical is the particle size and the steps that we take in between to get the liquid to the state that we want to have it at for spray drying. As far as the calories, We have some application sheets up at the front here to show you. Our cookie, for example, with half the butter, will reduce the calories significantly, like over 33%. Zero fat itself contains no fat, and it's actually calorie free as well because it's like 2 grams per tablespoon. So it's below the threshold for declaration. It's very low. It is essentially a fiber, is what it is, but it behaves like a fat. And that's the secret to the product.
One online, just while you're heading over there, I'd like to ask a little bit more on that. You talked about the IP that you have. How easy is this technology to duplicate, and how do you protect it?
I don't know how many of you are in the food business. I've been in there for 40 years. And frankly, nothing is everything is reversible in the food business. You can do it. You spend enough time and energy and money. What's really interesting about this product is that, as I mentioned, it took us a year to develop the commercial application. The challenge that our co-manufacturers are having is to be able to meet our specifications because it's very unique. I've spoken to over 30 spray jar companies in America and in Canada, and I am working currently with four that have the equipment, the technical knowledge, and the ability to produce this powder for us. This isn't easy because if it was easy, there would be a lot more of this kind of product in the marketplace. We do have competitors for sure, but we also know that we're priced better than they are. We also know that our product has a much cleaner label in some cases. So we have some advantages. As far as continually innovating, we are also working on other substrate materials that we can use in our patent process. So because I believe, frankly, you have to be cannibalistic in order to stay ahead of the competition. Constantly innovating new ideas, different applications, trying to encourage the competition to keep up with you. So we actually have other materials we're currently working on right now.
We'll take the last question online.
Yeah, so there's 2 questions, but I think we can combine it into one. Who is the initial target market, and can this go direct to consumer for the home bakers?
Okay. Initial market, with our example of Millsy up there, we've had a lot of interest from plant-based style type products. Their main issue is labeling. They need to comply with the new labels, that the regulation that the government's implementing on January 1st, 2026. And so they want to reduce the coconut, the avocado, the types of oils that are causing their product to have high fat. That's number one. Number two, they want to lower their ingredient costs because those specific fats are really accelerating in price. So we can actually address both of those simultaneously. Plant-based spreads, smoothies is also a really big, huge issue, a big target market for us, and bakery products, of course. Imagine this, and I worked in the baking industry for over 25 years, managing manufacturing facilities in both Canada and the US. I'm a bakery, and I'm making a wide range of cakes and cookies and all sorts of dough products. I'm using up to 5 different types of fats. I've got canola oil. I may have olive oil. I have margarines, shortenings, butter, okay? Zero fat can effectively replace all 5 of those. Now, there is some recipe adjustments to be had naturally, but we can replace all 5 with a powder that's shelf stable over a 2-year shelf life that has lower distribution costs, has no storage costs because butter and margarines have to be frozen or refrigerated, then tempered before use. We don't have those issues. As far as B2C, I get asked this all the time. We actually have a salad dressing that we brought here and a premix. But frankly, I don't know if I want to be dealing with a whole bunch of individual customers. I'd rather be dealing with one large manufacturer who's selling to thousands of customers. Most of my experience in the business world has been B2B, and that's where I'd like to stay for now. But actually, the B2C approach, that is a 2.0 version because we already have developed some formulations to make it easier to take zero fat and make it easily dilutable or miscible for these kinds of applications like a salad dressing or put it into your chocolate cake mix at home. But wouldn't you rather that I sold this product as a powder to Kraft or Duncan Hines or General Mills and have them put it in there so they can put it on the shelf? Personally, I think that's the way to go. So,
fantastic. Thank you, Dave. All right. Well, I very compelling pitch there. Really excited to try the cookies afterwards here. So hopefully you brought a bunch of them. But to wrap things up here, there's some really great pitches tonight, and I hope you stick around for some networking over drinks, some food. We do have our next event on January 7th. It's going to be at the BCI Tech Collider, and excited for the new year. But we've got all of December to get through, a lot of holidays and some family time before that. So I'm excited for all of that and excited for coming back in the new year in January. As I mentioned, BCIT Tech Collider is where we will be for that event. If you are interested in becoming a member, I'll flip back to this and you can sign up super easy through the process, and you can ask me any questions that you have as well. But I'm excited to chat with you all and get into some networking. So thank you all very much, and let's enjoy some food and drinks.